Tarot, and in today's video we are doing a reading, which I'm very excited about, for all air, water, earth, and fire signs. Now this is more for your sun sign, but if you feel like you're being more pulled to your ascending sign or your moon sign, or you want to look up someone else's sign, then go for it. But whatever that sign is that you choose, it would be matching with its elemental equivalent. I also wanted to let you guys know that I posted 2 new videos on my Patreon. One is all about soul fragment loss, my own personal experiences getting back my own soul fragments, what that means, the process, and a guided meditation as to getting it back and how you lose it and that whole jazz, as well as a really cool question that was proposed about can you create a video game to bring back soul fragments, and all about that. And if you are interested in diving deeper into your own questions, I have an intuition training course and a tarot training course. So these are essentially tools that enable you to go out into the spirit realm, regularly communicate with your spirit guides, with yourself, with your higher self, and on an everyday habit and trend, just enjoy yourself asking questions about your life, the universe, all that jazz, and then kind of basically putting pieces together to understand the whole scope and use it to your advantage. Now, as you can tell, the groups have already been picked and decided, so you can go down the description with your equivalent elemental sign. And let's get started with group number 1. Group number 1, all fire signs. Let's find out what's going on by looking at the cards. Okay, we've got 8 of Pentacles upright, Knight of Swords in reverse. I am all about this Empress card. Upright, we got Queen of Cups in reverse, and 4 of Cups in reverse. Okay. Give me one moment. I'm already hearing some interesting information about the Queen of Cups. I'm just going to listen to my spirit guide. Okay, so I essentially have a lot of good news to tell you. I'm so happy about it. And some things to keep in mind to keep those good vibes and good things coming your way. But also, I have a bit of a choice going on in these 2 cards. Now, it is a choice. It's not necessarily a bad choice. It's to each their own, but we're going to go over the situation so you can then decide how it could potentially affect you, where are you kind of at mood-wise, where would you like to put your energy, and then you can make that choice when you see it pop up in your life. So let's first start off with the Empress card. First of all, I love that you were depicted as this. This is essentially you are in perfect alignment with yourself. When you need a nap, you take it. When you need to relax, you do that. When you need to put in more effort, you do that. When you need to express yourself, especially when it comes to something being bottled up, you're doing that. You're just vibing and doing what you need to do when you need to do it with no guilt, no shame, and feeling confident and happy. And we love that. This is a way that you are tapping into your flow. And when you are in your flow, you create a natural source of abundance, which I love that. The Empress is true abundance. She doesn't have to lift a finger and things just work out for her. This would be a great time to exercise that towards focused manifestation. So put out an idea, like manifest, I'd love this to work out in my life that way. I'd love to get to work a lot easier. That'd be cool if I got an extra $20 randomly today, and just put out those little whims and then forget about them as soon as you do. As you keep following, and this is something that I want you to focus on going forward into the future, being in the flow and being that consistently happy, it's okay if you feel off or something doesn't feel right. It's about following that intuition as you ebb and flow emotionally. That creates your flow. So alignment with yourself anyways. So you're feeling great, you're feeling beautiful, you're feeling confident in yourself, and we've got some other good things going this way with the 8 of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. So 8 of Pentacles, you're doing really fantastic with your job, and it appears you're going to be hearing good news about your job. Sort of like, let me just check my spirit guide if it's almost like gossip. It's a little bit like gossip. It's like someone basically overheard that someone else noticed you were doing well, and it seems that you are going to gain some sort of, let me just double check if this would be like a promotion or gain certain advantages, is how my spirit guide put it. So you're just doing so great at work that essentially it's being noticed and recognized and going to be rewarded. And someone else is going to come to you with that energy of being like, guess what I heard? And you're going to be like, cool, awesome, I'm clearly doing a great job. One of the main reasons why you're being noticed with your work ethic is because you take a lot of pride in the day-to-day. You know, when you show up, you do the best job that you can, you focus, you're present in the moment, you offer whatever needs to be offered, and there's a lot of pride that goes with that, and other people are loving that and noticing the effect. It's sort of a sprinkling out effect. Again, the Empress, she just lives her best life. All her energy that flows from her just attracts nothing but good things. So essentially that's the energy you're bringing to your job, and you're going to basically be hearing about that benefiting you secondhand. This is also something to acknowledge. The way the universe works is the way we hear information and how it's brought to us lets us know kind of the circumstance at hand. So you're learning that there's a lot of in-between subtle nature to decisions that feel very simple in the moment to make and seem insignificant are actually building up to more significant benefits and rewards. And so you're receiving it also, instead of a direct way initially, you're receiving the subtle ways. You're hearing about it. Now, I do want to give you a bit of a warning that this other person seems to have this sort of energy. If it is a coworker, it feels less deep friendship related. They're just coming to tell you this, but they do have sort of a nervous energy about them. Nothing to pick up on, but it doesn't relate anything about the good news you're going to be hearing. It's just that their energy is kind of panicked, and they're sort of like, hey, guess what I heard? And you're like, okay, right, slow down, okay. So just acknowledge, or just don't acknowledge, or don't acknowledge, like, it doesn't have any reflection to the good news. It's just sort of what they're doing. But it is something to think about when we have both the Knight of Swords, the way the good news is being expressed, and then our other choice that we're going to make in the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups, and I'll get to what I mean by that in one moment after I explain this. So in the Queen of Cups, we have someone approaching you. Now here's the interesting thing about how my spirit guide was describing this. This is somebody who is normally pretty mature, they're able to express themselves well, they're pretty in tune when it comes to understanding other people's emotions and their own and so on and so forth, but they're just not feeling their best right now. It's not that big of a deal, they're not that intense emotionally. When we have a Four of Cups in reverse situation, and we'll talk about the reversal in one moment, but it's just, we go through our different time periods. Right now, you're feeling great, and they're not. Now, before I get into this choice detail, I want to explain something. Sometimes it's actually a good thing when you experience sort of like you're feeling so great and confident, but around you are some weird people feeling off with their energy. It's because they're being drawn to your light. You are exuding this light. You are in it, and people essentially want a piece of the pie, so to speak, on a subconscious level at least. And sometimes it's a conscious level. They're feeling, I'm not feeling great, they're feeling good. Can they offer something to me to help make me feel good? And the thing when it comes with this kind of choice and energy, and we're going to get to that choice in 1 second, is you can help these other people, but you can also decide, that might mess with my flow. I think I'm going to have to pull away and just keep forward on my path, because right now I'd like to really cement and build up what I've built and vibe with. Because sometimes unintentionally to these other people, and even your own good nature trying to help others, you kind of are just like, ugh, this kind of sort of brought me down, made me feel weird, and then you're out of, you feel unaligned with your thing. Doesn't mean that's happening. That's not the, sort of prediction we got going on here. It's just something to keep in mind. It's a positive sign that these things are happening around you because it shows how bright and vibrant you are, but it doesn't have to be something that consistently in your way or around you, and you can kind of choose where you want to what more you want to attract and sort of where you want to focus your attention. So the choice in mind. So this person is, and this is why I was saying it was interesting, is I was asking if it had a specific age to it. Usually when we go into reading tarot, often like things like queens refer to somebody that is older. And they said, my spirit guide said that it was not a specific age. So to each circumstance, it could be older, it could be younger. And this is what I thought was really interesting. Because it is a Queen of Cups, normally she's really in control of her emotions. She's just really got it figured out. And in this circumstance, it doesn't mean you're necessarily like best friends with them and love them. It could be in some cases, but more times than not, let me just double check that percentage. Correct, my spirit guide said. More times than not, it's more like you know them and you respect them, but you might not necessarily like love them and be super close to them. But anyways, they're coming to you and they feel that you can relieve their sort of, be like, here, let me let out what I'm feeling. What do you think? I see you from a distance. You see me from a distance. What do you think? Now, this is where the choice really comes into mind. And this is something to contemplate going forward. You are not a bad person if you're not there for someone. You don't have to be. It's not an obligation that you have to be. You can, and that's cool too. But it's really about checking in with yourself and saying, what is going to benefit me moving forward? And essentially what you're going to do is say, you're feeling so great. You're like, yeah, I can listen to them for a second. I can give them a little bit of advice. But sometimes we unintentionally pick up other people's energy, or listening to them just kind of brings us down and then messes with our flow. And sometimes we need to be in our flow a little bit longer, cement it a little bit more before we can be there for other people in that kind of way. So essentially what you can do is either be there because you're like, no, I feel really confident about what I got to offer, and that I do see that you can be the one to help them, pull them out of their bad mood. But if you feel, I don't want to take that risk, or, I did just start feeling good, I need a little longer, you can actively say to them, hey, I feel for you, I'm wishing you the best, but I'm busy right now. Or, right now, I'm just not at a place in my life where I can offer that to you. Whatever it is that you want to decide. Because remember, it is a choice. So essentially, good things come in your way. You're taking time and pride in your work and being really present, and this sort of being in your own flow, doing what you need to do when you need to do it, is really creating a lot of abundance energy that's starting to flood out, and you're starting to see the results of that. These little sort of, I don't want to describe them as hiccups, but uneven energy is just a sign of how in it you're in. But remember, you do have a choice, and that sometimes it's better to build up what you already have before you can kind of really be there for others. Remember, we take care of ourselves before we can help others. So I love you to pieces. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm very excited for you. Woo woo, my little spicy, fiery signs. I'm wishing the best. Please leave a comment, a like on this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I am wishing you the best. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2, where are my air signs at? Let's look at your cards. We've got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, the 10 of Wands in reverse. We have the Devil card upright. We have the 6 of Wands in reverse and the 6 of Cups in reverse. Ooh, 2 6s. That's awesome. Those 6s are needed right now. Okay, give me 1 second to look at everything. Okay. Oh. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, this isn't that bad. Okay, so there is some stuff we're going to talk about. It's not that anything bad's like going to happen. It's more sort of a state of mind going through right now. But no worries. I actually have some really good news about it, because sometimes when we're going up, there are periods of times where it feels like we're going down. But in fact, we are still moving up. Okay, so let's get started with the first initial representation of the Devil card upright. This is focused primarily on lately intrusive thoughts. This could be subconscious or conscious, and what I mean by that is sometimes we put ourselves down in a way that we're not even aware of it. And we're like, man, I'm not even realizing how many times I'm creating a mantra of not believing in myself or what I'm offering the world, or maybe you're constantly building up an idea of feeling overwhelmed or overloaded, overworked, that type of thing, which we're going to get to in a second. But nonetheless, whatever way it is, we're going to get into the specifics of what is influencing it and some of the good stuff behind that nonetheless. I also want to tell you that for some of you, it is a middle world being type of situation, which just essentially means a middle world being is like around you and attaching itself to you, and not a big deal. The way that you remove middle world beings, they can sometimes create this not nice inner monologue, is you essentially just reach out to whatever you vibe with. It could be your spirit guide, it could be an angel. Can they do their higher selves? You can do your higher self. That's great. Okay, just checking with my own spirit guide. So you can just say, hey, higher self, whatever is your particular vibe. And you just say, hey, if I have a middle world being attached to me, could you please come and remove it? And you set that clear intention by saying it, thinking about it, and just sitting in a meditative stance for maybe like 2 minutes, and then there you go. And when it comes to integration times, which essentially means feeling better, don't feel like those intrusive thoughts are coming in as much because of that influence, it might be instant, it might take a week. Oh, hold on, my spirit guide's talking. No more than a week. Wait, let me just double check that. For everyone, that's fantastic. That's very fast integration time. Love that. Love hearing that. It doesn't mean everyone's going to take a week, but at the longest it will take a week. Super cool. We love that. Anyways, going on, so we've got these intrusive thoughts going on. So we have two things popping up. First, we have the Six of Wands in reverse. Essentially, you would love some recognition right now. You could totally use somebody saying how cool you are. Maybe your job really thinks that what you have to offer is awesome and everyone's highlighting that. Maybe people are really standing out of their way to be like, wow, what you have to offer is the best. I especially feel it towards a career type thing, but it could be anything. It could be at home, whatever it is. It's not that you want to be the center spotlight of the scenario, but you're sort of having your own inner turmoil of not feeling good enough about yourself at this moment, that could really pep up your spirit. And right now you're kind of focused on it due to the influence of what's going on in the Six of Cups in reverse. In the Six of Cups in reverse, let's read this card specifically. It's a Lord of the Rings deck. I love this deck. Pippin and Merry relax and joke after the fall of Othane. Now, essentially, all of this turmoil happened behind them, and they're just like, it's behind us, we're good now, good thing we moved past this. It's this sense of like relief from the past. But in reverse, it's this feeling of you're looking at your past, and you're thinking, I can't believe I went through that. You're maybe contemplating what has happened before, and there is a bit of fear of like, what if that could happen again? And with those feelings creates this concept of, it could be about, when I see it influencing the Six of Wands, it could be because maybe you didn't feel like you were really supported or successful or seen before in the past, and you're afraid it's happening again, so you'd like some confirmation that that's not the case. Maybe you're afraid of lacking or loss right now, and you're like, man, if I could just have some sort of win at work or something like that, especially when I see the Ace of Pentacles we're going to be talking about in a second. There is just needing some form of like, can someone tell me I'm doing good around me to help support what's going on here? And then we got those repeated intrusive thoughts over here as well. Don't worry, we're going to have like a happy ending to all this jazz, especially when we have two sixes going on. And there's an explanation for what's going on here. So then we have the 10 of Wands. Now, for some of you, you are actually being overworked quite significantly, and it's getting to you. But for others, it's that you're becoming very mantra related when it comes to being like, okay, I gotta do this, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And it's like, you're not present in each moment. And so because you keep going over and over your head of all the things that you're gonna do or will do, it's starting to feel like you're always carrying what you're going to do with you at all moments without the relief of, just being in the moment and relaxing and that type of jazz. So that's not fun. You could see where the intrusive thoughts come in there again. You're going over what you'd like to do, how overwhelmed you are, how much you'd like to have a break, even when you potentially are in a moment like right now, having a break. And then you're like thinking, well, if I just have some sort of win, I make enough money, I can just relax, I can let it go, I can take a bit of a break, a vacation. You can see how it's sort of becoming a circle and an influence of everything going on here. But I have some good news that we're going to start heading into in an explanation for what's going on. Because like I said, it starts out negative, but it's actually for a positive reason. So, the Ace of Pentacles is not actually being read in reverse, but in fact think of this as like, this is the concept of like an opportunity being presented to you, especially with it being related to the number 1. The number 1 is so cool in the Akashic Records. I go over this in my tarot course, but the number 1 is about this idea that it's like something new is beginning, but doesn't mean you've taken hold of it yet. The possibility is there, but whether you choose it is yours to then to choose. But here, when it's being read in reverse, think of it as like a seed, and it's being literally planted. My spirit guide said, right this second, that is being planted. For some of you, it's an opportunity presenting itself, and it's happening right now. That opportunity that you just got, that you're taking and stepping into, is really going to move you forward in a direction you're really happy with. Let me just double check that to make sure that I'm reading that correctly. I'm reading it perfectly, my spirit guide said. Thank you. So sweet. And then for others, it's an idea that you're contemplating and you feel like it's popping in your head. And there's something there. There's something to work with there, something that you should follow. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and you want to change careers. And you're like, well, I've always wanted to try this. Or what if I did this on the side? Something is popping up right now and it's catching your interest. Take it, grab a hold of it and do something with it, because it is happening. When I say it's being planted, there's a part of you that has already signed off on wanting that to happen. So now it's time to just step into that and get excited about that, because clearly you're being drawn to it for a reason. And we have beautiful inner compasses that are always guiding us exactly where we need to go, when we need to go there. Even if it seems inconvenient at certain times, it's actually the most convenient thing you can do. You're trying to find solace from the stress that you feel. Now, when it comes to intrusive thoughts, I want to talk about the number 6. We got double number 6s here. And again, if you're familiar with my tarot course, when we have something double, whether it be like a number or a similar card theme, these are our cards showing the importance of it. So with the number 6, it is again, this goes back to the Akashic Records. When I was doing my research for some numerology there, the number 6 is an extremely high vibrational number. This is when you are totally in it. Think of like when people talk about the 5D and 5D thoughts, it's like you've been in that thought process for so long, you're in that flow consistently, nothing can take you out of it. You're moving towards this really positive state of who you are, and you're not just feeling great, you're in it, and you can kind of look from a whole new perspective of yourself in that way. And so when we move towards these really great states of mind, this just feeling like the best version of yourself, you're in such a beautiful state that you feel so good about yourself, you feel like you want to help other people. That's not necessarily what has to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. You feel like things just manifest really easily for you and all that just because you're in it. When we are moving there, interestingly enough, I'm surprised how often this can happen. We have sort of cycles that cycle out. So sometimes right before we get a spiritual upgrade, right before we step into that power, we kind of go through, think of cleaning out your system. And your internal spiritual anatomy is sort of doing it for you. Let me just not misquote. Is it spiritual anatomy? What Spirit Guide says is more soul-based. And essentially, you'll suddenly out of nowhere be like, man, why am I dealing with all these intrusive thoughts? Why am I going through this? These were things that hindered you in the past. They're cycling through, they're popping up again so they can get cleaned out of you, so you can then step into that new version of yourself. You can step into that power with feeling not so heavy. Now, when this stuff happens, I do think that the best thing you can do is sort of not give them as much validation and attention. So it's important to step back when you feel those thoughts coming in. Don't feed them. Don't give them attention. Breathe, meditate. Doing nothing will do more for you than constantly keeping up with thoughts that can't necessarily be immediately given, an answer or the thing that you want in that exact moment. And it's not helping you. You've already been doing that. It's not helping you. So it's time to step back. It's time to clear your head. You'd be surprised how much a good nap can fix a situation. You'd be shocked. It just pulls you out of the headspace, pulls you out of that energy, gets you out of there. Now remember, we talk about clearing your head. You are only feeling overworked because you're not letting yourself be present in the moment long enough to receive that mini vacation, if you will. You work when you work. You're not working when you're not working. That includes things like daily chores, things you got to do. And for people who are overworked, we're heading in a new direction that you should be really excited for. And you can still use that concept and mentality like mini vacations to get the breaks you need when you need them. And as far as recognition is concerned, yes, you can receive that recognition from other people, but don't be afraid to give it to yourself. Meditate for 10 minutes and say to yourself, I'm great. I've already won. Look at what an awesome job I do. And just give yourself that love attention. Say those things over and over and over again for a good 10 minutes. And if you feel you need that, then give it to yourself. Don't wait. There's nothing wrong with receiving it from other people. I'm not saying you can't attract it, but just give it to yourself right now. Give yourself relief and then make sort of a deal with yourself after you do that. Okay, we're done. I've given myself recognition. I've already won. I'm going to just move on and go watch TV, live life, whatever you enjoy, and so on and so forth. And remember, this feeling of the past, you can't manage the past. The past is dead. The future is never going to happen. There's only now. So pull away. Remember, these intrusive thoughts are weirdly a good thing. Your good things are around the corner, but you don't need to manage them. They're happening. Just take a break. Enjoy this inspiration. You got this. So, man, it got really dark. Sorry, the sun's going down right now. Anyways, I love you to pieces. I'm wishing you the best. Please leave on this video a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I am so excited for you to get that break and relief you need. Get excited, exhilarated, and get pumped about those good vibrations coming your way. And when I say good vibrations, it's a sense of you wake up and you're like, whoa, I just feel like I woke up on the right side of the bed. Whoa, I just get it. I'm there. You're cycling out to step into that. You're clearing out the system. Anyways, let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, my water signs. Let's see what's going on by looking at the cards. It got really dark, so I busted out my lights. We've got 7 of Wands upright, 4 of Cups in reverse, 6 of Swords upright, Ace of Swords in reverse, and King of Wands in reverse. Give me one moment to look at these cards. Also, I want them to be in the middle of... There we go. There we go. Okay, let's get into this. This is, we want to understand, and we get this in this reading, a particular situation's happening. And in that particular situation, there are some motivations, how it's affecting you, how it will continue to affect you, how you can look into that, where you can find and understand people's real perception of you, why this is happening in the first place. And this will then help you, in turn, be able to handle it in a more comfortable manner. So let's just, rip the Band-Aid and talk about the Seven of Wands upright. There is a confrontation coming your way. Now, right off the bat, I want to tell you that with the position of the card and what my spirit guide is telling me, you have absolutely no problem in sort of setting boundaries, standing up for yourself, doing what you gotta do. You get what I'm saying there. So that is positive, that like when this pops up and someone starts to sort of like take out their grief on you, so to speak, and we will get into specifics of that in one moment, you will be able to be like, whoa, hold on now. Let's talk about this. Where's this coming from? Back up. I don't deserve this. You get what I'm saying there. You're capable of that. But let's get into their influence, how it's affecting you, and why it's all happening. So to put it simply, we have the Four of Cups over here, and it is being read upright and not in reverse. They essentially are going through a tough time, especially when we have it paired with the Six of Swords. Things have not been great for them, both emotionally, and it's creating them not to think the best. It's like they have a lot weighing on their mind and their shoulders, and they essentially are trying to gain some sort of relief by, as you can see with this imagery here, of passing it on to you. Unfortunately, some people on a subconscious level, in their efforts to find their own relief, feel that if they can pass the burden or the energy or the thought process to someone else, then that other person again, this is like subconscious, they're thinking, if they can feel and think this for me, I can take a break and they can figure it out for me. But we cannot solve other people's problems for them. We cannot feel for them. We cannot vibrate for them. We can't do any of that jazz for them. They have to deal with their own stuff. But often, this is the reason why people sort of pick fights, take their stuff out on other people. But we want to go a step further here, because why are they picking you? Well, let's start with the Ace of Swords over here. Now, unfortunately, I do see there to be some sort of lack of mental clarity, especially when we have the influence of this card over here. This is being read in reverse, and this card is being read upright and influencing in here. And I want to specifically read this card over here, because that's what my spirit guide told me to do. Theoden's challenge is to rid himself of Wormtongue's influence. So we have this character whispering in their ear, telling them what they should think and feel, and it's hard for them to decipher their own energy and thought process and way of being. And with it being the King of Wands, it shows me, again, when we have the Seven of Wands over here again represented, you're at the moment, and for the most part, like pretty in control of your own life, what you exude, you put yourself out into the world with a certain level of like confidence of like, this is who I am, I know what's going on next, in your own life for your own self. And this other person sort of wants a piece of that. Even though this is in reverse, because they are influencing you, again, we have that influence repeating over here. We have confirming cards. This is for my tarot course people. We always look for things that are repeating, and the repeating imagery we have over here is them whispering into their ear and influencing them, and then this burden being carried towards them. And both of these heavy influences are brought into the Ace of Swords. So we've got the energy they're exuding towards you, that sometimes energy is like palpable and it just gets you stressed out because they're like, you can just feel it pouring into you. And then in addition to that, they have a lot of the way they're verbally expressing themselves is quite intrusive, and they're kind of getting in your head, so to speak, and you're like, what's going on? So this is because of how much they are normally inspired by your new ideas. You normally have great judgment and clarity, and you have lots of inspiration behind you in the way you think things out. And the big thing is the ace being represented here, the freshness, the newness. You normally have great inspired ideas, and that's what people want. When they feel like they're being drudged down, they want to escape their current situation with something new, something different. And you exude that normally. They love to hear it. But they're essentially getting your head and muddling that up a little bit, because why? They want a piece of that. They want you to deal with it for them and also give them those new ideas. This is all getting expressed in the wrong way, and it's sort of kind of bringing you down and getting your head here. But what can we learn from this circumstance and situation? First, we want to look at how capable you are. Remember, we talked about that in the very beginning. You know what to do. In the moment, and when we see this influence, I can tell that subtext-wise, you care enough about them that they could have that much of an effect on you. And as they affect you and are trying to bother you, it's because of how much they respect you and like a piece of the pie. They'd love you to sort things out for them because they see that you normally are good at that. They want you to take them away from things. They want to hear your new ideas, but simultaneously, they're hurting them. So there's a lot of admiration there, and you have to remember that when you're in yourself dealing with this confrontation. You're essentially saying back to yourself, well, even though this isn't a great experience, I know what I'm doing. I'm the one they admire. I'm the one they want to bring this to. I'm pretty great. And it's about really being in tune with yourself and being like, yeah, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to deal with this. And remembering that in order to give you the confidence to go, whoa, 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 step back, step back, step back. I love you and I care about what you have to say and think and all that jazz, but because I have enough self-respect for myself, because I can also see what you admire in me, and I'm going to keep that solid and intact, I'm going to have to set X, Y, and Z boundaries, or I'm going to have to call you out on that, and essentially kind of keep them at bay. When we look at the imagery here, we can see they're all the way down there, and you have an advantage on a hill. Don't get too involved. The more they want you to respond to what it is they're saying, and they're going to say something and they want you to respond back and have an opinion about it, the more you're sort of going down to the lower level and then getting lost in all those other wants. You have the higher advantage, the more self-respect you have for yourself, and say, I hear what you're saying, but I have to cut it off. What do you mean you don't want to talk to me? I see that you're in a mood and we're not going to be expressing ourselves the best way. Oh, so you don't have enough time for me? I'm going to have to go now. And you just separate yourself and you put some space between the two of you and you keep your wits about you. And remind yourself at the end of the day, no matter how, because it doesn't go into specifics here of where the confrontation will go, because it's more at the end of the day the choice that you want to do. Do you not want to deal with this anymore? Do you want to work it out later with them when they're thinking straight and stuff like that, when they're able to take responsibility for their own feelings and emotions? That is, the decision is really yours. But in the meantime, you can be like, well, clearly they love me so much and respect what I have to say that they're trying to do that. This is not the best way to express it, but I have to remember that this is not because I did anything wrong. It's because I did everything right that they're being drawn to me. And then essentially from there, you want to get them out of your head. You want to get into a good playing field with your mind. You want to go take your fresh thoughts and your fresh new ideas and go work them out for yourself and keep a bit of a distance and a higher ground and a maturity about the circumstance. And then once they've kind of had to deal with their own stuff, or work out as it is, then you can come back and have a more relaxing conversation about it all. But we're going over this in order for you to not lose yourself in somebody else's influence, to remind yourself how great you really are and not to be brought down by it, but instead reinforce what you already know and what they already know. So I hope that you are just feeling much better about yourself and realize it's just not personal, even though it's not fun to deal with. You're going to do great about the whole thing, and keeping these things in mind so you can keep your flow and your good vibes going without taking any of this on and essentially leave it unaffected. We love that. Anyway, please leave a comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It helps out like you would not believe, so you can see all my videos as they come out. I love you to pieces. I'm wishing you the best, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's get ready for our final group. Group number 4. Group number 4. Where are my earth signs at? Let's find out what's going on by looking at the cards. We've got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, the 8 of Swords in reverse, the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, the King of Cups in reverse, and the Chariot in reverse. Okay, give me a moment to look at all of this. Okay. Okay, let's get started. First, we're gonna go, remember, we go full circle here, so we get into the whys and the what do you do next type of scenario. So remember to listen to the whole thing. But let's first get started with the Wheel of Fortune card in reverse. To put it plainly, things are just not really going your way. It's not necessarily that I see bad luck or bad things happening. It's just more like, you're trying and you're not really seeing results. You're feeling sort of directionless and restricted and all that kind of jazz. And we're going to get into specifics about that. But it doesn't really feel that great. Well, there's actually a reason for that. This is our thesis card modeling everything else. But this is a karma situation going on, working itself out. Now, here's the thing. Not all karma is about being a bad person. Not at all. Karma is just something that you haven't let go of. So for this particular case, this is karma working itself out. Now, it's not punishment. I want to be absolutely clear. My spirit guide said that you are experiencing the opposite end of something to its I don't want to say to its fullest, but you're contemplating and understanding and knowing what that feels like to permanently put an end to this. Because it's sort of like, when you are feeling great and you want to feel the motivation to kind of stay in that mindset, and when you feel like you might slack on some of the good habits you've built in order to keep you there, you remember the not great times, and then you're like, you know what, I am going to go do that thing that raises my spirit or makes me feel really good. It's kind of sort of like that idea, or having like a deeper sense of appreciation, or realizing that you were never truly limited to begin with, and that by understanding these ideas, you can put them on the back burner forever, so to speak. So let's get into specifics and what that really means. First, we're going to start off with the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords just essentially shows you feeling restricted, to put it simply. Not feeling like you can move ahead, and it feels pretty frustrating. Now, here's the thing that's really interesting about the Eight of Swords. This is about self-limiting beliefs and imposing ideas and stuff like that. So this is when you feel like you can't move forward, you're frustrated, you can't think out a good idea, you don't know why, but things keep stepping in the way, and you're just like, oh, I want to go do something, why do I feel like this? But unbeknownst to you, you actually have a lot more power and capability than you realize. In fact, actually, I find the Eight of Swords people actually have quite an infinite nature to them. They are actually quite expansive, deep down subconsciously, but because they're so expansive, sometimes we have sort of like inner defense systems, if you will, that pop up and come into play. And we get into our head and we make up all these reasons why something can't happen, or why this is what it is and that's the only option, when that isn't your only option. That you can do something about it, even about the current circumstance at hand. You are not as restricted as you think you are, and that the restriction is a sign that the expansiveness is kicking in and going to let out, and you're going to really step into your power in that way. But there's sort of like an inner fear of like, oh, but I don't know if I'm ready. It doesn't mean you're not ready, but that's the sort of like inner fear of like, I don't know if I'm not ready. And so you put up a bunch of walls. Now, when we talk about working out karma and understanding the opposite end in order to solve it, what you're learning from the circumstance is realizing when you feel that, about pulling it away, pulling away those walls, pulling away all those reasons why something can't work out and that's the only option, and going out of your way to step forward and realize, wow, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. There was another option, or maybe if I only asked another question, or hey, this did work out my way, and realizing that there's never any walls to begin with in your life or restriction, that you have full control and full power, and you can exercise it whenever you want, and that is just your state of being, and you should enjoy it as much as you want. Now, in addition to that, we've got some two influencing things that's creating the King of Cups in reverse. The King of Cups in reverse is feeling emotionally imbalanced, anxious, insecure. Especially sometimes we have somebody who normally because they're used to being super in control of their emotions to the point that other people really like vibe with you. You're the one, when we have a King of Cups, we want to look at the subtext. We want to look at who is the King of Cups when they normally are in an upright position. They're great at giving advice to other people. They're usually the person that can see all the different sides and remove themselves from the situation emotionally to make the best decision possible. There's a lot of sense of security and control. And when we don't feel that security, when we feel restricted and pulled back in these various things we're going to talk about influencing it, well, it can make us feel like we are an inch away from having an outburst and not feeling like ourselves and sort of being like, I can't take this anymore, and having that sort of energy. And that is not a fun state to be in. Now, on one hand, we have to understand that, again, when we talk about the subtext, when you feel that, it's because normally you are in control. Normally you do give great advice. Normally you are able to express yourself in a way that you're proud of and able to kind of like stand on your 2 feet and be like, yeah, I know what's going on. I feel like I have the upper hand in my own life. And that this feeling is understandable. You don't feel that you don't feel great feeling that way, but why are you feeling that way? When you're feeling that way, you're feeling emotionally affected by something, and what are the sources that you can treat in order to then help that emotional state? Because on one level, you'd like to emotionally not feel this way, but we also want to talk about the other things. It's like, this is affecting this is affecting this, you get the jazz, we're, putting it all together. So, on one hand, we have the Seven of Pentacles. There's this sense of like putting yourself out there, being like, hey, does anyone want this? Hey, I'm working really hard at work. What do you guys think? And it's not that you're necessarily looking for the recognition. You're moving towards something and you want it to happen. And as you work towards your goals, whatever they may be, career, romance, whatever, you just feel like you're waiting. You're like, okay, what's happening? What's going on? And you're not really getting any results. And you feel this again, when we talk about restriction, that sense of restriction being here, you feel that sense of restriction where you're like, I feel like all the control is in someone else's hands and I'm just waiting to hear a reply. And that can make someone feel like they're going to burst or pop. It is not a fun feeling. And then on the other hand, we have the Chariot card in reverse, feeling directionless. Again, when we feel restricted and pulled back, and when we're like not quite sure if we should keep investing in this thing or if we should go somewhere else, you're not quite sure. It's just like, what do I do? Do I move forward in this direction? Do I stay here? I'm not quite sure what's going on. And just feeling mishmashed, so to speak. So without any weird way where you can clearly put a focus and attention and feeling kind of pulled in multiple places, if you will, and not even sure if you should go any of those directions, and feeling like you just want to feel some sense of progress. Again, it's that sense of buildup. It's like you're being held back. Again, we talk about that restriction being held back, and that is so frustrating, and it makes you want to emotionally be like, I can't take this anymore. So what do we do about this circumstance? In this case, it's one of those things you're going to ride out. It's going to be ending very soon. I'm really happy to say that with my spirit guide, that they did say it was going to be ending soon, and you're understanding these circumstances in order to understand the greater concept so you can put an end to these ideas and then benefit from the positive outcome. So over here, we have you realizing your infinite nature, realizing that there are no restrictions, no matter what you think is in front of there. It's only as restricted as you think it is. There's always another option. You can always ask and change the circumstance, that you are boundless and can achieve whatever you want. And that when you feel this way, it is just a realization that you aren't giving that other idea and concept more attention. I'm referring to the infiniteness and restrictedness. Over here, with the Seven of Pentacles, normally, while it is frustrating, you want to hear response, you want to feel progress and all that jazz, and it can be emotionally frustrating. Sometimes it's about realizing that you're moving towards something and there isn't always going to be proof along the way that you are in fact actually moving towards it. When the Seven of Pentacles is normally upright, this is somebody who's like working towards their goals and they're doing a great job, and it isn't, they're not necessarily going to receive the reward they're hoping for, like a promotion promotion or the love of their life immediately, soon, but not immediately, and that they should just keep doing what they're doing. It's adding up. Often I find these cards pop up when they're being evaluated from a distance. But it can feel frustrating for the person who's just like, okay, is it adding up? What's happening right here? The greater concept that you're understanding from this card and this idea is that you're realizing that it's not about receiving the end goal point or the rewards along the way. It's about setting a trajectory, setting a goal, and kind of having sort of like an inner faith in yourself and your work that it's all adding up, and that you don't need to constantly receive affirmation. Not that you're constantly looking for that. Keep that in mind. You're not like, just because you want some sort of recognition, some sort of benefit from it, doesn't mean you're constantly asking for that. But having a certain level of being like, okay, I'm putting myself out there, it's going to add up, it's going to build towards something. I just got to give myself a month, keep doing what I'm doing, I believe in what I got to offer, and by putting out that undeniable energy of like, yep, what I'm doing is absolutely correct, and you're being confirmed, like keep going for it, keep putting out there, somebody is going to pick it up. But who says that the person who's going to pick it up is the person you have in mind? Maybe you're waiting for your boss to recognize your work and give you your promotion, but maybe they aren't even the one that's going to give you the promotion. Maybe it's going to be someone else who wants to poach you for another job, and that is the recognition you're waiting for. See what we're talking about here when we talk about it not being your only option? That's another concept. It's not your only option. You have an infinite amount of options, but it doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't adding up, and that you shouldn't spend more time building this confidence in yourself of being like, it's adding up. I don't need to hear it every second, which you can tell yourself. You can be like, yay, I'm awesome every second. But it's about knowing you're still moving towards that direction. And then same thing over here with the Chariot. It is super frustrating to feel like you're not quite sure where to go next. But you only feel that way because, again, you're waiting to receive like, hey, is anyone liking this? Is anyone doing what you're doing? The best way to find direction is to slow down and just go, well, what do you want to do? Not where you're hoping to go, or you're waiting to hear back if you're then heading, if you got your ticket for that train, so to speak. Where do you want to go? And then just get on the train. You know what I mean? Well, I'm working towards building a career as a music producer, and I'm waiting to hear back if someone will hire me or something like that. Well, in the meantime, just produce beats and put them out there. Just go for it. Just say like, well, this is what I want to do. I'm setting my path and I'm stepping forward in my path, and someone will recognize it and someone will work for me, or someone will enjoy the beats that I have to offer now as is and stream it. And I'm just going to step forward in my path and I'm just going to move forward towards it. Well, something else will build from it, but by saying at the minimum, I'm more focused on what is rather than who will respond to it, you're opening up an infinite amount of opportunities setting your way, and you're setting in yourself a certain emotional balance and excitement of being like, but I know at the minimum this is the direction I want to go, because you only feel directionless because you're waiting for others. So I'm really excited for you because this will end very soon. You're just understanding these ideas, and my spirit guide did say that the sooner you recognize these concepts and these greater ideas of like, I'm understanding and learning this, the sooner it will end. And by understanding these things, when you feel them start to pop up in the future, you can immediately stop them and then in fact thrive and benefit from them by realizing, I've got all the opportunities in the world. As long as I've got my direction and I believe in what I have to offer, and what I offer is more than good enough, anything will benefit me and work in my way. I don't need to wait for someone. I don't need to put my power in someone else's hands. So I'm excited for you. It's all working out. It's all meant to be, so to speak. And you're learning a lot from this, and you're really going to benefit from all this. So I love you to pieces. Please leave this on this video, comment, a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It helps out like you would not believe. I am wishing you the best. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.